So again, we're working with polynomials, but again, notice how again we're really working in this case with a monomial. A monomial is a single term. So remember, a term is a number, a variable, or a product of numbers and variables. So a product of a number and a variable. So again, notice how it says use positive exponents. So one of the things we learned is there's a rule that says if you have a base raised to a negative exponent, that's the same thing as going to be 1 over a. Similarly, if you have 1 over a to the negative 1, that means to move it to the top as simply a over 1 or simply a. So to make a negative exponent disappear, it's got to move to the opposite side of the fraction bar. So if we look at this example here, notice how I have x to the negative seventh. Since it's a negative exponent, it's going to have to move down here next to the x to the fourth. Now, when I do that, I can't leave the numerator alone. So for a placeholder for a fraction, you have to use a 1 as a placeholder. So it's going to be 1 over x to the fourth times x to the seventh. So notice how this turns into really the rule a times m times a times n. If we're multiplying, keep the base and add the exponents. So notice how on this example here, the 1 stays in the numerator. We're going to keep the base and we're going to add the 4 and the 7. Well, the 4 and the 7 is actually going to give me an 11. So this problem simplifies down to 1 over x to the 11th. So that's the expression we come up with because it says we cannot have negative exponents involved. So keep that in mind. Now, what I could have done also, you could have used the quotient rule, a to the m over a to the n. You could have used the quotient rule, said a to the m minus n. If you use the quotient rule, notice how this would be x to the negative seventh over x to the fourth. In the quotient rule, you would keep the base as x, but you'd be going negative 7 minus 4. So negative 7 minus 4, remember that's a negative 7 minus 4. Notice how one of the things we can do here is identify this as using a circle. I have a negative 7 and a negative 4. So notice how I have two negative numbers. I have a negative 7 and a negative 4. So a negative 7 and a negative 4 means you have a negative 11 because a loss of 7 and a loss of 4 means a total loss of 11. So negative 7 minus 4 is the same thing as a negative 11. So if I use the quotient rule, I'm left with a negative exponent. I would still have to apply this rule here. To make a negative go away, I would have to take the reciprocal. So x to the 11th would actually have to turn into 1 over x to the 11th. So I could also do it that way. I could subtract the exponents. And then since I got a negative exponent, I'd have to take the reciprocal of it and write it as 1 over x to the 11th. So there's a couple of ways to approach this. My approach usually is I usually get rid of the negative exponents at the very beginning and then just deal with it without the negativity. But again, it's going to be how you see the problem